There are a lot of advantages to a fixed blade knife, no doubt. They're stronger, a lot would say more easily deployed. They're able to do more tasks than perhaps a folding knife is capable of. However, that being said, there are some folding knives that are making great inroads into the tasks that we've normally set aside for fixed blades. And this is one of them. The Lone Wolf Harsey Tactical Ranger Knife. This is a very large, very cool, very strong, as far as I can tell, I haven't put it to hard use yet, tactical folding knife designed by William W. Harsey and produced by Lone Wolf. I like it a lot. Now, again, you know I always speak philosophy in my knife reviews because I think it's kind of good to set the stage on how the knife would be used. And again, I think this is a knife that makes inroads into fixed blade territory. In other words, it might be capable of doing tasks normally reserved for fixed blade knives. That being said, how heavy is it? Well, it's not light. It's 8.4 ounces with the sheath together about 11.5 ounces. And that puts it squarely in the territory of some fixed blade designs. Namely, the SOG Government Agent, which is kind of my medium standard, my medium size standard for a fixed blade knife. I love the SOG Government Agent. It's really sad they're not making it anymore. It's probably because it just did not sell that well. And that's a shame because it offers a lot of knife for the money. Look for my review on it in the future. But back to this one, the T3 Tactical Ranger. It is capable of several of the tasks that perhaps the SOG Government Agent is capable of. However, in a folding, more compact design. And I will also say in a much better steel. This blade is in a S30V steel, which is superior to the AUS6, I believe the Government Agent's made out of. This is a proprietary, not proprietary, but a specifically made steel for the knife market. Great edge holding, great cutting performance, good ductility, good corrosion resistance, fair amount of carbon in it, allows it to be a good cutting steel. I've had a great experience with S30V. Yes, I'm not a steel snob, but if I can get S30V for not much more price, I'll take it. Now, that being said, this is not a cheap knife. It's kind of expensive actually. I don't know what it runs on the website, and I want to say around $240, something like that. So it's a lot of money for a folding knife, granted. But it has a lot of capability as well. And sometimes we just need to spend more to get more. And that's just the way it works. So let's talk about the specifics on what they're calling the T3 Tactical Ranger by Lone Wolf. First off, and most exciting, is the deployment. It's like the racking of a shotgun slide. That's how significant the sound that the T3 makes when it pops out. I mean, it's just gnarly. It's a very authoritative snap and locking sound. And by the way, when you deploy this knife, deploy it quick like you see me doing it. That way you're going to get a nice solid lockup with a liner lock. So how's the lockup first off? Very nice, very tight. Now I have noticed if I do not deploy this knife solidly, I can have some wiggle, just a little tiny amount in the up and down. Side to side, just a very, very tiny amount. That's probably a function of me needing to adjust my pivot point just a little bit. So overall, I'm pretty darn happy with the lockup of the T3 Tactical Ranger. Not bad. Once upon a time, and when I ordered this knife 3 years ago, they had the spear point offered along with this one you see here, the drop point, in a full flat grind. Obviously, myself, I opted for that drop point. I think it's a much more functional blade design than a spear point. Truth be told, I'm not a huge fan of a spear point design folding knife unless I'm planning to use it in a purely defensive role, which is basically never. Most knives I carry I want to use in a multi-purpose role. They might have a tactical defense option, but most of them, not all of my folders, I kind of want to be able to do more than just one task. Now that being said, this is a wonderful, wonderful blade as far as the design. That full flat grind would make this, actually, here it comes, a nice wood splitter. In my opinion, better than a SOG Government Agent. I know that's a weird comparison to compare that knife with this one, but again, we're talking about a fixed blade design of about the equal weight of this, and so I think it's comparable. But that full flat grind is like a wedge, and I think for smaller pieces of wood you could actually pound this blade through and go right through it, no problem. And it should be able to take it. This type of knife should take that batoning action, if you ask me. It's a expensive, well-made survival knife. Should take it. The edge on this CPM S30V blade is very sharp. I did not need to do anything to it. It's shaving sharp as it comes from the factory, which again I would expect for a knife of this price range. Nice bead blasted finish on the blade, very handsome. I love it. Good blade shape, suitable for all tasks, not just wood splitting, but all type of tasks, including skinning, maybe a little bit of shelter building, yes, even defensive tasks, with an adequately strong tip on it. Nice blade, I love it. Let's go to the handle. How is that handle? Well, for once it's large enough. I love that. The T3 handle is big. That's a big handle on a big folding knife design, and I love it. You will not run out of real estate on this knife, especially if you have gloved hands, which is always a factor for me. That almost all the knives I review, they're fine when you're barehanded, but if you're gloved hand, you got Nomex gloves, maybe some leather work gloves, you're going to be running out of handle room. Not so on this. Also, it's very ergonomic. They have the finger grooves cut out on it. They have both bottom and top notching, and that's what this is. This isn't jimping, this is notching. It's not quite as good as jimping. It does grab the thumb a little bit. I would like it to grab harder. Actually, this stuff back here on the back spine of the handle grabs better than this notching right here. But typically that's not where I'm going to grasp this knife. I'm going to be it like that. That's the notching is okay. I mean, it is better than nothing. I would, as like I always say, like it sharper. FRN handles over titanium liners, and yet this knife is still no lightweight. I always wonder about that they put these titanium liners in, and almost every knife that uses titanium liners is still pretty heavy. And you know what my definition of heavy is. It's probably different than your definition of heavy. Over 4 ounces for a regular tactical folding knife is heavy for me. But this is actually in a different category. This is a large tactical slash folding survival knife. Kind of a completely different category where I'm willing to take upon me some more weight to get more capability. Talked about the lockup already. Make sure you deploy it nice and firmly. Get that liner lock to lock on the base of that blade adequately. Phosphor bushings in there. I have not taken this knife apart because I haven't had a need to, but you can see the phosphor bushings in there. And that makes this knife very easy to deploy, and that's something that I congratulate Lone Wolf on. All their knives are just super slick, Benchmade slick. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but Benchmade typically has very fast deploying manual knives. This Lone Wolf is no different. It just deploys really fast. Another nice feature of the knife is it could be used as an impact device because the handle is so big. Like in most designs, I find it's best to reverse it like so, because that radius of that ramp will go under your thumb such that your impact device, being the butt of the handle, is better suited to that hold. At least for me. Might be different for you. Torx construction throughout, so you can take it apart should you get in salt water. Man, that's a nice loud snap. Running out of time, let's talk about the sheath. They make a big deal about it on the website. It is rather cool. It's a large MOLLE compatible sheath. MOLLE's great for MOLLE gear, not so great for belts. It will slide around a bit. Another nice feature is they have a nylon loop sewn in here that you can put that clip on. You would sink that clip on it for extra retention if you're in airborne operations of some sort with this knife. Fastex buckle, just a nice sheath. It does add a little bit extra weight though, about 3 ounces. So that's the T3. It's a large survival slash combat knife in an outstanding steel, super fast deployment, good lockup. I love it.